What is up, guys? I'm ExxotikGaming, and today I am finally back with another Pixel Gun 3D gun comparison video. Or can I really even call today's video a gun comparison? Because today's video, what I'm going to be comparing is two different melee weapons, not even guns, but these are very well-known melee weapons, ones that I see people constantly using in matches that I join, and I decided to do a comparison between each one of these to let your opinions go to rest and really see which one is better. These two weapons are the Mr. DJ UP2 in the backup section and the Fire Orb UP2 in the melee section. Now, just off of stats, we will look at the stats here right at the beginning. The Fire Orb UP2 has an 18 lethality, an 85 attack, and a 110 mobility. The Mr. DJ UP2, on the other hand, has a 16 lethality, a 77 attack, and a 120 mobility. So, this one is slightly lower in its lethality and its attack, but it is a little bit higher in its mobility. And for a melee weapon, mobility is very, very important. Both of these weapons are area damage type melee weapons, meaning that you don't need to directly hit the enemy player in order to actually get the area damage and kill them. You have to hit very near to that enemy player, but as long as you are pretty close to that player, the blast radius of the swing of your melee weapon will be enough to kill that enemy player. Both of these are only a couple of shots to an adamant armored player. It's between 3 and 4 to a fully adamant armored player, which is not bad by any means, and I want to say this right off at the start here. Regardless which melee weapon you choose, both of these ones are melee weapons where you can get some great gameplay with them. So, hopefully, we are going to find something. I guess we can join into the Silent School match. This really only has 6 people in it, so it's not the most ideal Silent School match, but this one will have to do, and I will show you guys, once and for all, which one is better. Here's an adamant armored player. As you guys can see, he obviously did have some armor damage dealt to him, or else that would have not been a one-shot kill. But, at the beginning here, you can see that there is one very interesting feature with the the Mr. DJ UP2. And that is, this weapon is in the backup section, meaning that you can technically have this weapon along with the Fire Orb at the same time playing in the same match, and you can have them both in your loadout at the exact same time, which is a very unique feature. You know, this is in the backup section, so you would figure it's probably going to be a backup weapon for a primary or a special or a premium weapon, but this is a backup weapon for a melee, and that is very, very interesting. So, you can use this as a backup weapon along with the Fire Orb. So technically, if you really can't decide which one is better, and you like the gameplay I'm getting with both of these, you can get both and use them both at the same time. Although I wouldn't really understand why you would do that. You only really need to use one melee weapon at a time in a match. But as you guys can see here, the Mr. DJ UP2, based off of the way they look when you perform with these weapons, this one shoots little music blasts out of it, and it looks kind of cool. But with the Fire Orb UP2, you shoot some little flames and stuff out of the weapon, so that one looks really cool as well. This one is also animated. It has a little constant flaming orb flying around the actual staff of the weapon, and that looks very cool as well. So these both look pretty cool for melee weapons, and they both perform very well. Both of these are 1 shots to somebody without any armor whatsoever, and they're around 2 shots to somebody with full adamant, or 3 shots to somebody with full adamant armor. Now, this one does have a slightly slower firing or swinging rate per se, but in all honesty, a 77 versus an 81 swinging rate isn't that big of a difference, so you won't really see any noticeable change just based off of those swinging rates. Now, if you go off of the way they actually perform in terms of their lethality, they only have a 2 difference in lethality, but that is enough to actually do between a 1 and a 2 shot to a certain armor level. I believe it's somewhere around Diamond or maybe the first level of Ruby. I'm not entirely sure which exact level, but at one certain armor level, it will be a 1 shot with the Fire Orb and a 2 shot with this one, the Mr. DJ UP2. So keep that in mind. This one is just slightly less powerful than the Fire Orb UP2, but that doesn't mean you will get bad gameplay with the Mr. DJ UP2. I have reviewed both of these weapons, and I've gotten really good gameplay with both of them, and they are both very, very good in terms of gameplay. Both of these are melee weapons. You both have to use them in close range, like Silent School. Pretty obvious. Melee weapons you can only use if you only go right up next to an enemy player, so it wouldn't make sense to join a long-range map and then expect to actually get decent gameplay because it just won't work out. So, maybe there will be a different map than the one that I was on, just because it seems like everybody was using area damage. I'll try to go into Area 52. Again, not the best ideal map for this gun comparison or weapon comparison per se, but it'll have to do. So, if you go into a longer range map, these both, I believe, have the same, like, blast radius, I should say. It's not really a blast radius because you don't really blast the weapon, but they have the same sort of blast radius, so they're both good in that sense. They're actually a bigger blast radius than some of the other ones, so like I said before, you don't have to directly get right up next to the enemy player in order to actually hit them. As you guys can see, I was a pretty good ways away from that enemy player and still able to take that person out just because of the good blast radius that the Fire Orb has. That's the same with the Mr. DJ. Mr. DJ is exactly the same to this one. They are both one of those pretty decent ranged area damage or melee weapons. And they're melee. I don't know how a melee weapon can have as big of a area damage as they have, but I'm not really complaining because melee weapons generally are pretty underpowered in Pixel Gun, unless you're talking about the Stormhammer. And then in that case, that's an entirely different ballgame. But we're not talking about the Stormhammer right now. We are talking about the Mr. DJ and the Fire Orb UP2. As you guys can see here, I am not having any trouble at all taking any sort of armor level out with both of these weapons, but for me personally, I tend to get slightly better gameplay with the Fire Orb. Now, that's all based on opinion. Some of you guys might get better gameplay with the Mr. DJ UP2, but for me personally, I tend to get slightly better gameplay with the Fire Orb. Maybe that's just because the fact that when you kill somebody, they do burn up. It's like a little burning crisp thing because you're shooting flames out of the weapon, but I think that's just based off of my my thoughts and my thought process when using them. But as you guys can see, it's still a very, very good weapon, and you can kill pretty much any enemy player that's really thrown at you pretty easily. As you guys can see, I was able to get second place, and I joined that match late. Still able to get 7 kills in about 1.5 minutes of gameplay. Now, Mr. DJ UP2, I have to say, is a much newer weapon compared to the Fire Orb. The Fire Orb is still kind of relatively new, but the Mr. DJ UP2 does have that newer advantage. Now, because of that, a lot of more people are going to want this just because it is new. It's the most up-to-date melee weapon that you can possibly get in the game, even though it's in the backup section, so it is a very unique thing because of that feature. But the Fire Orb UP2 is still a little bit older and still just as good as it was before. I do like the fact, though, that the Mr. DJ UP2 is in the backup section. That is a determining feature, honestly, with that weapon, because sometimes people might just want to have 2 different melee weapons. They may want to use their Stormhammer as their primary melee weapon, and then as a backup one, just for fun, use the Mr. DJ UP2. And you can do that with the weapon. There's not really any problem by doing that, because you can use it as a backup melee weapon. It's pretty much 2 classes in one, and that's a really cool feature with the Mr. DJ UP2. Other features aren't really that big. The lethality it's very similar, but like I said, there is that one specific armor level. Unfortunately, I don't really encounter every single armor level, so I can't tell you guys the exact one, but I would assume it's around Ruby UP1 or Diamond, the last version, UP2 version of Diamond armor. Somewhere around there, it will be a 1-shot with the Fire Orb and a 2-shot with the Mr. DJ. So that is a little bit interesting. Maybe if you are a somewhat lower level player, like maybe around level 18 or so, and you know the majority of the armor levels that you come across are Diamond and Ruby, that's a determining feature. You might want to get the Fire Orb just because it will be a much more likely chance of being a 1-shot than it would be with a 2-shot with the Mr. DJ. But then again, you can use the Mr. DJ as the backup weapon of choice. So, it's a very difficult decision between the 2 weapons because they are both very good melee weapons, and as you guys can see, I've been doing pretty well throughout this entire match so far. Despite everybody having guns and adamant armor and such, I've died a lot. That's going to happen with both of the melee weapons. There's really no way to avoid death. You might not want either one of these if you don't really want to die a lot in a match, because with both of these weapons, death is a constant occurrence. you will always die. You will die about 2/3 of the amount of times as you actually get kills if you can manage to actually do somewhat decent in a match. You might even die as much as you get a kill with this weapon. It depends. It all depends on the people that you actually encounter in a match. But generally, you're going to get more kills than you will with deaths, just because it does take out any enemy player pretty quickly. Another good feature with both of these weapons is, since they are area damage, and since they have an infinite ammo capacity, you don't really have to worry about being super accurate with them. You can kind of spam them somewhat, and you will generally get kills, unless the people have adamant armor. And then in that case, there are some times when those people will be able to take you out. So, now we need to get to the actual determining decision. That's two of almost the same words in the same sentence, but we will determine now which one is better. Now, in my personal opinion, if I was going solely off of the actual performance, I'd have to say the Fire Orb UP2 is just slightly better. You can get just a little bit better gameplay with this one just because of its slightly higher lethality, but not by much. It's some gameplay that you might not even notice at certain times, in all honesty, but I've used these quite a lot in matches, and for me, I've found that I get just slightly better gameplay with the Fire Orb. Now, if you are going off of all of the other features of both of the weapons, the fact that these weapons can be used as a backup weapon for the Mr. DJ and stuff, I'd honestly recommend the Mr. DJ over the Fire Orb. Just because this is a backup weapon, and you can use your Stormhammer as a real melee weapon, and then you can use this one as your backup melee weapon, and it won't take up really any space for melee if you want to actually look for a good melee weapon. Now, if you're one of those players who actually likes to use guns a lot, and you don't see the points in why you would have a melee weapon as your backup weapon, get the Fire Orb, okay? The Fire Orb is still one you're going to get great gameplay with, and then you can use something like your Alien Blaster or your dual machine guns as your backup weapon and not have to worry about the Mr. DJ UP2 taking up any space. Or, if you have enough coins, get both. They'll both give you some great gameplay, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you have a just absurd large amounts of coins. They're very similar, and there's no point in really getting very similar weapons unless you just want to waste some coins. So, I'd recommend the Fire Orb in terms of gameplay. So, you know, it's all based off of your decision. That's my personal opinion. It's really based off of you guys when you finally do determine to buy the weapon. I have to also add that both of these weapons, you can get multiple kills in a single swing because it does have that area damage. So that's another awesome feature. You don't have to get one kill and then another kill and then a third kill. You can get 3 kills in once if all the people are together at the same exact spot. So that's another interesting feature with both of these. But Fire Orb, guys. Get the Fire Orb, and I'll promise you the gameplay will be fantastic. Or if you want a sandbox weapon, get the Mr. DJ. I have to also say, well, I might as well spend a couple of seconds talking about that. Now, the Mr. DJ is also a very popular weapon in sandbox, so if you want a sandbox weapon, get this thing, because this is the only one that's going to work in sandbox. Can't use the Fire Orb in sandbox and expect to actually have it as a point. It's completely pointless in sandbox. At least this one you can dance with fellow players. For some reason in sandbox, I don't understand why you would want to do that, but if you do, then, well, this is obviously the weapon of choice. So guys, that's pretty much it for today's gun comparison video. I know a lot of you guys have been constantly asking. I cannot believe how many requests I've had for a gun comparison. It is actually insane. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you guys did, then be sure to hit that like button, comment, favorites, and subscribe to my channel for more Pixel Gun 3D gun comparison videos. Be sure to check out the 3 others that I have uploaded so far to my channel. I have uploaded, I believe, a Guerilla Rifle versus Elephant Hunter gun comparison. I don't know what this guy is doing. That guy is just spamming the floor with the dark matter generator. I've done a comparison between, gosh, it's kind of difficult. I don't know. I'll just have like a link to each and every one of them down in the description so you guys can check each of them out. So, yeah, guys, thank you all for watching. Be sure to check out my other series I do as well on Pixel Gun 3D. I have a lot of different series. I have a weapon review series, which I have over 100 videos on that series, very proudly, and I will eventually have every single weapon reviewed in this game. I have a series on just random weapon gameplays where, say, I want to do something like electric weapon gameplay and maybe just, I don't know, know, something like shotgun gameplay or something like that, I did that because I just chose any weapon that really fit the bill and did some gameplay with them. So that's something you guys might want to check out. I'm also in those gameplays and my color weapon gameplay, which you guys should check out, and hopefully I'll do another episode too relatively soon. I am known for the very funny commentary that I do with those videos. So other than that, thank you all for watching, and let's go get maybe 1 or 2 more kills. I'll just say 1 last kill just to keep it simple. This is a longer video, guys. I know you guys were really excited to see a long video for my last one, so I'm doing another. Hopefully you guys like 15-minute videos, because I don't really mind making 15-minute videos in Pixel Gun. It's nice. It's nice being able to do a longer video for once. I like doing longer videos. I don't really like doing 3-minute long videos. It's kind of boring for me, just because I have to rush, and there's really no point. So, yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next episode.